Hello everybody, my name is Simple Quetzal, and today I am doing an Identity 5 Hunter tier list video. Now, this tier list is going to be orientated by ranked and quick match mode. It is not going to be oriented and ranked at tournament matches, as most tier lists are. So I'm going to be assuming that you'll be facing two teams of two instead of a full four-man team. And this is from my experience, what I know. I'm currently Manticore 4, which is a bit higher than the average. So I would say that this is more for the higher tiers, what you can achieve with these hunters. I would say this applies to everything starting at Sabertooth around rank 4. Would that be? I don't think that doesn't. I don't need to say anything more. I'll just explain some of the tiers. S tier. These killers, if you play them decent, you should tie most of the time. You should at least tie. A tie is with these killers a loss, basically. Nothing more to be said. Play these killers, and until, I don't know, Manticore, you shouldn't have any problems losing. Uh, this season, season 22, I had my first loss in Manticore. No, not Manticore. In Sabertooth 1, I had a 100% win rate until then, and I played rather weaker killers, so yeah. Also, which I feel like I might have to address now, is that I do consider this tier list to be partially biased, of course, due to the killers I play and I don't, which I can play, which I can't play, and of course, I'm going to be taking ping into consideration. As all European players, I have a ping of about 100 ms, which, it doesn't affect the gameplay too much. It's just annoying to have, and I feel like the game is a bit different if you play it with less ping. So that will be taken into consideration. Doesn't mean that it's going completely different. It's just that some characters are not as strong. Okay, let's continue with explaining the tiers. As I said, S tier is a tie is guaranteed at lower to middle ranks. High rank, it depends how well you play this, but maybe some maps counter these hunters, but in most cases you should be doing just fine. A tier are very strong hunters who have um, a good set of abilities, who can catch quickly, who really shine at something, whether it be camping, whether it be map control, or it be the pursuit, and it they are just very solid picks, which you can definitely win with. Onto B tier, I will go with the hunters that are rather weak. They have one deciding factor that can win the game. They are not at all unplayable. They are very viable characters. They are just a tiny bit too situational to be used in rank to get a good average performance and secure a tie. Um, C tiers are the hunters that are really bad. They are mostly not used. You will never see them in rank 4 or above, meaning Sabertooth. People who play these hunters have either dedicated themselves to it or they just really like the hunter. Um, I don't recommend to play them if you're not a really good hunter player. I'm not saying you can't win with them. You can win with everyone. You can play an F tier hunter and, get a tie, even 4-man at peak rank, at Dragon, something. I don't know. It's just going to be a lot harder and your win rate will suffer from that, obviously. And in order to rank up, they are not good hunters. D tier are the hunters that you shouldn't be playing, just straight up. Um, they are horrible, they are bad, they get countered way too much, they get countered by the meta, which I'm going to talk about in a second, and they are just way too situational or just don't have the right toolkit to succeed in the current meta. And F tier are the hunters that starting off at, I don't know, Sabertooth 1, if you face a decent team, you cannot win with these characters. It is impossible, basically. Little spoiler alert, none of these characters is in that tier. There is not a singular F tier character in this game. Every character has unique strengths and weaknesses, and I can already tell you so much. F tier does not apply to any of these hunters right now. I still do not recommend playing hunters lower than C tier, the D tier killers, hunters. I doubt will give you any value in rank. That doesn't mean you can't win, doesn't mean, you know, you will always get one kill max, but with these hunters you are happy to get a tie, which is not the goal, of course. Now, many of you watching right now would probably be confused. There is an S tier. What does that mean? You know, if you've seen the video of the infamous hunter main Alien, which he posted a few months ago, I think it is 2 or 3 months ago, there was no S tier, there was only S minus because of the current survivor meta. And I agree with him. The survivors are currently in a place, in a spot of this game, where the hunter is basically, if they can't get the first down quickly enough, the hunter will lose or tie at best. The hunter is in a spot where, or most hunters are in a spot where the survivors have the pressure on you and you have to succeed and get the downs quickly enough. There is very few hunters with a slowdown in their builds. There is very few hunters that succeed at, stopping ciphers a lot, being in multiple places at once, and you'll definitely see why that is the case. But more on that later. You will also notice maybe that the icons are a bit weird. I tried my best to make this. I couldn't find an up-to-date tier list, so I made this one. It's not perfect, but you can still see what the characters are. You can still make them out, so I don't think that should be a problem. This tier list will also be available on tiermaker.com. I will post a link in the description. Now, without any further ado, let's start off with the worst tier, F. As I already said, there is no F tier killer. Every killer is viable in rank, you can succeed with every single one of them, but some are just worse. Onto the D tier characters. The worst hunter in the game right now is Hellember. Hellember is in such a weak and pathetic state that it's kind of sad, because he seems to have been forgotten after the devs after they gave him the soul ability for the puppets and for the clone he can make. He's just pathetically weak. He has no early game chase, he is slower than the default hunters, he has a long attack recovery, a horrible hitbox, he is easy to juke, his stun recovery and pallet breaking isn't fast, it is very slow in comparison. The only thing he excels at is his camp. His camp is insane. He can camp a chair without being near it. He can secure double hits on the rescuer, which is why he only gets countered by Merc. If you play Hellember in ranked, ban Mercenary. He wants to ban the Mercenary. He is one of your hard counters. Bring Excitement, ban Mercenary, and you should be good. Now, the problem is that if you bring Excitement, you have nothing to secure the down. You don't have an ability to get that hit that you need on the survivors, which is your early game chase is going to take too long mostly, because unless you get them cornered, your Ember is just useless, which is why he's so pathetically sad. He, however, has a lot of snowballing potential. With his puppets, he can patrol ciphers with them. The problem is just that he needs this presence first. Main reason is he can't even use insolence for the puppets. Why can he not use insolence? Because the puppet doesn't do anything. It's useless. You want to use it to camp. It doesn't matter if you have the puppet if you don't have anyone down yet. Which is why I think Hellumber is definitely the least viable character. You can play him, you can win as him, but Sabretooth and higher, you're going to get a lot of losses, and you're going to be happy about every tie you get. The second worst in the game is going to be Nightmare. Nightmare is, surprisingly enough, being banned a lot. Even in Manticore, I've now seen people ban Nightmare a lot. Um, he's not a good killer. He has nothing. He's got no chasing power. Basically, he has very weak map control. His teleport, once he has that first presence, is on a 50-second cooldown. He has some information which he can get, but that is information you can just, from the crows, you can just get from looking at the ciphers in general. He is not a bad killer, but just underwhelming. Now, if he gets that max presence, his lock on attack becomes a lot stronger. It becomes a lot more viable as you can launch 2 times. You can cover up a lot of distance, but the normal first ability you get, you usually it won't really matter. Like, you can use it to get the down, but if survivors are really good and they know what they're doing, they have played against this character more than a single time, they know how they can counter you by just waiting around corners because you are limited in that mobility. He plays regular different from End's jump, which you cannot cut around corners, you cannot dedicate yourself to a quick movement. It is just not a good ability in my opinion. I'm not saying it's unviable, it's just not gonna get you downs on the first survivor quickly enough if you are playing in high rank against a decent team. And onto the last killer or hunter in D tier, and this is actually very sad, but it's going to be the evil Reptilian. In my opinion, Lucino is just such a bad character. He has nothing going for him. His early game ability is way too weak. It doesn't allow anything. People say it's a mind game. It's not. It's really not. You can see the shadow of Lucino. You have to stay near a pallet. When you see him drop, you can just vault the pallet immediately, and you are completely fine because he can't attack quickly enough afterwards. If he gets that M1, his attack recovery is long, and you can run into a safe area, a house, some kind of structure that he can't jump over well. He gets countered by a lot of maps. He has a hard time dealing with rescuers. He has nothing really. He has weak chase, um, weak camp, and no map control. He has okay movement, but that doesn't give him anything. His bounce, his pounds, whatever you want to call it, his first presence is not good. It gives you a hit 10% of the time. It is not reliable. Good survivors can counter it. And I'm not saying that, he's a horrible killer and you will never win with him, but good survivors, you will not get it. His final presence doesn't change anything. He's still in a very weak state, but now you are can rely a bit more on that slam because it is quick enough to catch survivors off guard. Um, Honestly, I just think that he has no, he has no, I don't know how you say it, no synergy with insolence, as that first slam is just okay. It won't get you down most of the time. What do you want to do is, bro, you want to bring it down right, detention trump card to get the blink hit, the second one, and switch to teleport or peeper later, maybe even abnormal. What you want to do as well is go at least 1 point in destructiveness, as pellets really do counter him. What I think that he should do is just remove his power bar. His power is not strong enough to have limited uses, and if you use it often enough, you get punished for it. I think you should be encouraged more to use it and hit less with your basic attack. That is all I'm going to say. Moving on to C tier. First C tier kill I'm going to put in is Smiley Face. Smiley Face is an okay killer, has a lot of potential. If he hits the mercenary with his drill, the mercenary is going to stay on the ground for 20 minutes. If he gets the first dash with his infinite rocket dash, he can really get that. If he gets his first presence, he has good good chasing ability. He can get rid of pallets quickly, he can Terror Shock with it. His camping is decent with that, but he's not great at it. He has no ability to get that first down if he doesn't get the first rocket dash hit. It is very slow. His wind rings don't make it quick enough. They should probably change it so that the winged wings are more effective, and once you reach that final presence, wind wings have no more effect on your dash speed, or less effect. He has a good attack range, good attack recovery, good attack speed, but survivors know how to outplay you. The rocket, in most cases, will get stuck on some weird hitbox. If you're really good with Smiley Face, if you've really, played a lot, if you understand his sensibility, if you know the hitboxes of the map, of the loops, he goes up by a lot. He goes into B tier, maybe even A minus, but for the general player base on how the survivors outplay him, he is just in a sad C tier spot. The next killer in C tier, it also kind of hurts me, but it is the Ripper. The Ripper is an outdated killer. If you've seen the Alien video, I'm just citing him at this point. Ripper is very weak. His early game presence is not good enough. On most maps, it is countered by a lot of survivors. Good survivors will not get hit by the Foggy Blade. Very good survivors will abuse the fact that you have Foggy Blade to get distance because you try to mind game and hit through walls. He has okayish map movement with his Fog Blade and his hidden and mist speed, but it's just not enough. His attack range, his hitbox is horrible. It is completely trash, and that's really it. He gets a lot stronger in chase once he reaches that first presence, which is why people bring Blink with him. What you want to do is basically the same that you want to do with Lizard. You want to go Detention, Trump card, and then 1 or 2 indestructiveness. Of course, always Tinnitus, because it is a very good trait. That's all that has to be said about Ripper. He is just very sad. I think what they could do to make him a bit better is enable the ability to able and to disable the Fog Blade. So you can press on the button and it disables the Fog Blade and you're not going to use it up with your next attack. And they can make it a cooldown of like 5 seconds, so you can't just randomly switch quickly. I think that would be a good change. But, he's not bad. He can destroy, he can be a real beast, he has good camping. But he is just, Ripper is as good as the player who plays him and as the survivors who kite the Ripper. That's all that needs to be said, I feel. On to the next in C tier is Wax Artist. Wax Artist is not good. People say he is the worst killer in the game. I don't think so. I think his early game presence is very decent. His passive ability of applying 25% wax on survivors when stunned is a very good ability. I do think that he is viable in most ranks. He just gets countered by maps and by loops. There is maps such as Moonlit River Park who are very good for him, where he has very open a line of sight, where he can really do some damage, really get these downs quickly. And there is maps where he just cannot. Early game he is weak. He becomes a really good snowballer with his second presence, where he can hurt survivors now, but sadly, I'm sorry, sadly, when he reaches that point, most of the time he is just been kited for too long. Areas counter him, knee jerk and broken windows counter him, which most kiters will bring. Characters such as Perfumer counter him. Characters such as Enchantress, he actually counters those because of the stun of the passive effect, which I really like. And he just doesn't counter the meta. Okay. Moving on to the next hunter. It's going to be Wuchang. Wuchang is my main hunter, you should know. He has a very, very good late game. He has insane map mobility with his umbrella. His white guard form can pursue survivors quickly and catch up. His blackguard form is insane in chase. His blackguard first presence is completely busted. But getting that first presence is hard. What you want to do with Wuchang, you want to go insolence, detention, and 2 on destructiveness. And you want to bring... Sorry. You want to bring teleport for more map movement. Alternatively, you can bring trump card and detention with 2 indestructiveness, and bring blink to secure the second hit, because Wuchang can always get the first hit. If you're decent with his umbrella, you can always get the first hit quickly, and the second hit is then the harder one. Personally, I think that without presence, White Guard is a bit better in chase, as he's quicker and has a bigger hitbox, but that's everyone's preference. Really, that's all that needs to be said. He's very weak. I'm very sad about that, because he is my main, as I said, always was. I was almost an S-batch Wuchang at some point, but it's just that he is not... His early game is not strong enough. You will notice a trend with that the most killers have a very weak early game here on this tier list that are in the lower tiers, and the more you go up, the better the early presence is. The next one would be Bane, the Gamekeeper. He is my second main, you should know. I enjoy him a lot. He gets underestimated a lot by survivors. His hook hitbox is insane. His reach with the hook is very far. People underestimate that a lot. Sadly, he just has nothing to live off. Maps counter him. Transitional kiting he counters, which is the meta, which is good. He counters annoying survivors such as Forward and Whirling to a certain degree. With his hook, he does not counter anything that is related to Cypher Rush. His chase is good, and that's really it. His camping is garbage. People say his camping is good. His direct camping is garbage. If you can make out where the rescuer is coming from, you can hit the rescuer, hook them back to you, and hit them again. Or just in general, hook them, make them not reach the chair before half, and then hit them, which is very good. If you cannot make it out, if it's a good rescuer who knows how to hide, his camping is garbage, because the hook will auto-lock on the shared survivor most of the time. That's all that needs to be said. His traps are nice. They enable some counterplay. You know, you block some good paths, they can get you a nice hit. But they are not game changing, and most of the time, honestly, just a waste of your time to go out of your way and place one, as survivors can disarm them so quickly. Okay, the next hunter in this category right now is going to be a bit of a controversial one, but it's going to be Burke. The Mad Eyes has fallen a lot, he's got a lot of nerfs, and he's got a bit of a problem as old Geisha used to have, where she had inbuilt counterplay, built-in counterplay, and Burke has the same. Until he gets his first presence, not his, his first presence, the automatic device on his arm, he is very weak. He can be bullied a lot by Enchantress, by Forward. His chase is bad. He has nothing that goes for him. The only thing that's good for him is his quick pallet breaking speed. With him, you generally don't want to go detention. He is a tie hunter. You can always secure kill with Burke, no matter what, which is nice, but he requires a lot of effort to learn, which sadly is just not worth it. Don't get me wrong, he is a very strong hunter. In the right hands, he is A+ tier. He can get a lot of stuff done. He can scuff rescues. He can get a lot of map control. He can slow the game down by a lot. He cannot let survivors do gates. Berg is a beast, but the effort that is required to learn this character is sadly not worth it against a character that has inbuilt counter play with the decoding of his machines. Moving on to B tier, starting off with the B minus because all the characters on the right are the worst of this tier and on the left are the best of this tier. We go in with Photographer. Photographer is, I would say, the most 50-50 hunter in the game. You never know how a game is going because the pressure you're applying does not directly influence you, but rather only the survivors. You cannot see what effect it has. If the survivors are decoding in that time, it's a good effect. If the survivors are healing in that time and rescuing their mirror images, it is an okayish effect. You can waste a lot of time. You have about double the time with Photographer in a match than you have with other killers. The Cypher Rush is not that good against him, but he gets countered by a lot of meta characters. The transitional kiting hurts him a lot. He has nothing to counter that. He has no ability to stop a prisoner or a mind's eye early game. Finish decoding a cipher when you make a photo first, when you start the photo world. He has a good mind gaming potential with his second presence, and he is a very quick hunter for the attack recovery, making him a decent camper, but he has nothing. The thing he really relies on is that 1000, 1500 presence, 2 or 3 hits in the beginning of the match, which then give him the abilities and the possibility to find a knocked down survivor when you shared a mirror image. He can turn a game around in 2 seconds if you play him right. 2 seconds, 2 minutes. If you play him right, you make a good photo, you get a good down, you play your cards right, you catch a survivor on a cipher machine, you terror shock them, you are in a really good position. But sadly, he has the problem of most characters, and that is he is weak to bullying. Forward is without a doubt the best survivor in this game. He can bully so much, he can stun you a lot. Better will completely demolish you because you have no ability to get close if you don't use blink. And Perfumer is very good. Perfumer has a base kit counterpart. Little Girl, the best or the second best support in this game, is just completely demolishing him if he attaches to a survivor and they can decode the first ciphers. You will notice that the higher you go, the more photographer you play, you will get on average around 1 or 2 photos per match, which is not optimal. You want to have a lot of photos, you want to have 5 photos, 6 photos. You're not going to get that. Survivors are going to ignore the first down, they can heal with exit path, they will continue decoding, and you will get cipher rushed if you don't get lucky and get a quick down or find the knockdown survivor after the photo world. Now, photographer can change all the game, you know. He can find the knockdown survivor immediately and have a chair at basically 5 ciphers undecoded left, which of course is very strong. It puts a lot of pressure on the team. If you have full presence, you can kind of push people off ciphers and then go back with your photo. It is very nice. But most of the matches, it's just not going to go like that, which is why he is in B- tier. Moving on to B tier, we have Violinist. Violinist used to be an A+ hunter. He used to be very strong. His first ability was the same, basically, but it had a lesser cooldown. Now, with the nerfs he has received, and survivors learned how to dodge his nodes, and considering the European lag that I am used to, it is not easy to get hits with his ability until you have full presence. Antonio has nothing going for him. On After a decent chase, he has okayish camping. He has very little map control with his second ability. He's just a situational hunter. On maps with line of sight or with enclosed areas, tight areas, he destroys. He is a beast, but it's really just a 50-50. Get hit by the node and insta die, or get not hit by the node, take the normal hit, go away, kite him for 3 ciphers. Transitional kiting counters him, which is the meta. There is so many transitional kiters at the moment. Survivors can receive support from priestesses, from forwards, from cowboys. Cowboy himself is a transitional kiter. Patient is a transitional kiter. Priestess is just very strong. He is in a weak state right now. Next one is Percy, Undead. Percy is one of those characters that is so good. He can demolish teams. It feels like he has no counterplay, or he's just so bad. His chase can be A tier or D tier. His camping is non-existent because he cannot trail survivors. His map control is very good with his movement. And once he unlocks that final presence, he can have an even better map control as he can stop his overcharge, or not overcharge, but overload. Sadly, he just has no pressure. He cannot put pressure on the team, as survivors can always pick themselves up the first time they get downed. He really, once he downs a survivor, he has about 20 to 30 seconds until that survivor is picked up again, and they can start decoding. In that meantime, everyone else is decoding. The survivor that gets picked up, or that picks himself up, can take over the cipher of the survivor that the person is chasing now. And the only reason he is in B tier is he was worse. If you remember him, he was like C- tier, but he is a bit better now because he does counter transitional kiting. His ability has no real cooldown. You can basically use it infinitely. Just pay attention to your overcharge. He counters transitional kiting, which is why I think he is a very solid pick. He can definitely get some things done, but he is sadly just not pressuring enough. If he could chair people, then he would be a solid A tier, he would be very strong, but he just cannot. And the next hunter in B tier is going to be the Clerk. Clerk is a very versatile hunter. She can slow the game down, she can undecode ciphers, she can decode ciphers and force a cipher pop, she can undrop pellets, basically making survivors, vulnerable even if they have resources. The problem is, in order to have a recording of a drop pellet, you have to have recorded a survivor dropping a pellet. In order to have a survivor vaulting a window or blocking the window, you have to have a recording of the survivor having vaulted the window. Uh, what I'm saying is, as a survivor against Clerk, if you take the hit, you run. You just run. The Clerk has no counterplay to that. She has no direct ability to counter that. Transitional kiting destroys her. The only reason she is still in B tier is because she is so versatile and she can get such good value from undecoding ciphers. She has a good map presence with her watching ability, which is why I think she's a good pick. But sadly, she gets countered by the meta, especially as she is so weak to being bullied. Every type of CC character, every type of control effects character destroys her. Priestess, Perfumer as well, because Perfumer can just take the hit and go 3 times. Forward, Enchantress, Coordinator, there is a lot of counters to her. Now moving on to A tier. The weakest character in A tier is Feaster. Now, Feaster is considered not a good killer by most people. He is considered bad because his tentacle AI is so broken, survivors can dodge it. His tentacle range is bad. They have fixed his attack recovery and attack range, but in my opinion, Feaster is still a beast. In enclosed areas, he can get tentacle hit and almost insta-downs. Feaster has a good knowledge of where everyone is thanks to his tentacles. He can use them to locate the nearest survivors. Feaster is quite a versatile hunter who has a very good chase, especially once he has that second presence that allows him to charge up tentacles. He has a very good camping, and he has decent map control thanks to knowing where everyone is. He doesn't excel at any of these though. He is a tying hunter. He doesn't have great chase, he doesn't have great camping, he doesn't have great map control, which is sadly why he is not higher, but he is a very solid pick. Next off we have An. Surprisingly, it is kind of the same thing with Disciple. She has an okay chase. It'll take about 2, maybe 3 cats to get the down. The only thing that really counters An is harasses. A forward will counter her completely. Cowboy can counter her completely. Prospector, Coordinator, these characters just make her life miserable. She counters the meta, however, with transitional kiting. Her jump is very good against that. If you ban Priestess when playing as her, you should be completely fine. I would also ban Forward, and everything is cool. She is just not good enough. Her ability to make the cats explode, well, not explode, but burst and block item usage for 10 seconds is very good. It is a good counter to Mercenary, Forward, Perfumer, whatever, whatnot. But she counters most of the meta, but sadly her chase isn't amazing enough. She has okay-ish camping. Good survivors will never be hit and then stunned. Good survivors will always take the stun and then only get hit. Which is why she is not higher, but she is still a very good character. The next killer is going to be Naiad. Naiad has everything. She has decent camping, she has good chase, and nice map mobility. She has good map mobility. Sadly, she doesn't excel at any of these. It is kind of the same with Feaster and An. She's not really good at anything. She's a jack of all trades, master of none, making her basically a tying hunter. All the hunters in A tier you can consider a tying hunter. They are just decent and not good enough to perform so well that they will always get a win. Now, you can of course win with all these characters if you play it right, if the survivors don't counter you. Naiad, for example, has very little counterplay, which is why she gets banned a lot. You can throw the harpoon, use your first presence to form an area, and retrieve the harpoon, which will then ensure basically the health state on the survivors. Um, Sadly, she gets countered by transitional kiting. Patient, um, forward, cowboy. All these things counter her really, really hard, making her chase rather D tier because she has nothing. She can't attack in her harpoonless form. She can do nothing realistically. Survivors really just have to get out and move on to one area from the other. Knee-jerk reflex and broken windows counter her. It is just that if she doesn't get a very good pick in the beginning and finds the decoder and then closes them well enough so she can ensure that double hit insta down basically, she is not going to excel at anything. She's a very solid hunter in most cases, however. Next, I put X-Boy, Robbie. Now, I cannot play X-Boy at all. He is one of my worst hunters. Still, he is, in my eyes, very strong. He can get a lot of hits in places where others can't. He is basically just Ripper, but updated, in my opinion. His souls are very good. If he doesn't hit the survivor, he gets a speed boost, making him able to catch up. The only thing he gets countered by is transitional kiting. Until he has that first presence, he is very weak to anyone that can make a lot of distance quickly, making him a hunter that wants to enclose someone. It's a bit similar to Naiad in a sense. You want to have people in your corrupted area. Once you have that full presence, transitional kiting doesn't matter as they get slowed down so much when they leave the corrupt area. But before that, you're just going to have a hard time. His attack speed is very good, his hitbox is nice, and I think he's a very solid hunter in general. He He is not a tying hunter, in my opinion. You can ensure wins with him a lot. Now, moving on to the next one is the Spider, Violetta, aka Soul Weaver. She is good. She is a beast. On most maps, she destroys. She is so fast. She is so versatile. She can get down. She can get quickly rid of pallets. She can chip damage. Starting off at the first presence, she has a bunch of abilities, a bunch of possibilities that make her an A plus tier killer. Transitional kiting doesn't really counter her because of her speed boost. She has very good camping with her acceleration boost, making, if you stack that with Berserker, making the attack recovery very quick. Imagine this scenario: you have someone on a chair, you put triple webs, you are very quick, you have very quick attack recovery, and the mercenary comes. Now you web shot them, which makes web shot him, which makes him have chip damage. He goes into the webs because he does not want you to have that acceleration. Now he's got 3 webs on him. Basically what you have to do is wait out the cooldown of the web shot, which is like 8 seconds, hit him again, and then normal attack him. That's a double hit on the mercenary basically. The rescue will happen, yes, but it doesn't matter. You can catch up within seconds with your webs. The only thing that is really sad, which, you know, um, makes her not be an S tier killer, is the limit on your webs. You have to use them carefully, you will run out eventually. And I think she could be S tier, quite honestly, but the Cypher Rush meta is just too strong. You will never be in a situation where you have all your webs ready to use. However, I think she's in a very good spot. She should be where she is right now. She's not too strong. She can almost always ensure a tie. She is okay against harassers, as she can just cocoon, which counters forward, cowboy, uh, who else is there? Coordinator, Enchantress, everyone basically that has CC. It is a very nice addition. The next hunter in A tier is Bonbon. Bonbon has an okay chase early game. He has no map pressure, no map control, but such an extraordinary camping. He is considered the best camper in the game. If you're not a mercenary, you cannot rescue without going down. The only thing that sadly counters him is harassers. A forward who just stuns you and gets the rescue and goes away. A coordinator who just shoots you, takes the chip damage from the bombs and just goes away. Which is why you want to bring excitement with this boy. However, and that's the sad part, is that most of the time you would need a blink to ensure the first down. I'm not saying you need it every time, but most of the time. He gets countered by transitional kiting, which is the meta, and the Cypher Rush just goes by too fast. Most of your matches as a Bonbon, you will, however, notice that you get the first down, you chair the person, and you proxy camp, you run around a bit, look for the rescuer, but no one is coming. That is because Bonbon does not care. He stops basically every rescuer, meaning the team will continue to decode and let the person die. Now you have the chance to either go for the save, not for the save, go for the ciphers that the people are decoding on, try to interrupt that, slow the game down, but with doing that, you of course risk a rescue and the chat person to get away, basically denying you of an early kill, which is bad. You don't want that to happen. Overall, very strong killer. Sadly, just a tying hunter. It is like that. Now, I was thinking about S tier, putting her into S tier, because she is a very strong killer, but personally, I don't think she's that good. Now, I cannot play her at all. I am horrible at her. I don't think I get all of her kit. She's very complicated. But that's why I put her here. From my personal opinion on how I can play her, she's like B tier. She's bad. But I've seen gameplay. I've played against some good some good gelatiers, some good sculptures. She's a beast, a force to be reckoned with. She is very good. She can get chip damage on you. She has a strong early game. Her presence doesn't really change anything except enabling her to pressure a single cipher while camping, which is very good. It provides some passive slowdown or active slowdown maybe. She doesn't have a lot of weaknesses. Transitional kiting kind of counters her, but she can make up for it thanks to her statues being a kind of ranged projectile. So she's a very solid pick. She has good camping. Nothing really needed to be said. On to the next, we have S tier killers, Geisha. It's just weird. It is weird to see Geisha in a spot where she used to be the worst hunter in the game at some point. And now she is one of the best. Geisha's buff did a lot. She's really good at close kiting, transitional kiting. She can counter to a certain degree. The only thing that is with her is that she has little map presence, thanks to her calm form, where she's a bit faster, and her a butterfly, which she should not use for mobility, and her camping is trash. Her camping is utter trash. Her hitbox is completely bad, but it's always been like that. But she's still that ability to get it down so quickly, so darn fast in the early game, faster than most hunters ever can, is just what makes her one of the strongest killers. She's a quite easy killer to learn, to pick up. I recommend her as a main if you really want to play ranked. So yeah, go for it. The next killer is going to be Bloody Queen Mary. Mary is one of my mains. I would say she's my third main. I enjoy playing her. She has all of it. She has map mobility, she has a good chasing ability, she has passive slow or active slowdown when camping with her mirror. The only thing that is sad about her, which made her fall quite a bit, still not making her bad, just she was a lot stronger, is the fact that she has such a long cooldown to ability now. She has a lot of downtime. If you've ever played in high rank or watched a tournament, I know this is not a tournament tier list, but if you use the mirror, and fail, you don't hit it, you're lost. You have lost the game. Hitting missing a single mirror can be detrimental to the Bloody Queen. The Cypher Rush is just too strong to allow that, sadly. That being said, she's still a very good pick, no camping at all. But she has a good map presence even while camping, which is nice. Now, everyone knows what's gonna come now, so I'm not even gonna wait a lot. There is the Will Brothers, the Breaking Wheel, and Dream Witch as the strongest hunter. Dream Witch has always been the strongest, she always will be the strongest. She's got a lot of nerves, making her a lot less viable. She is the hardest killer in the game to learn. She is the most rewarding, however. She is... I don't need to say anything, right? She has amazing map presence. She has no camping, she has no chase, but amazing map presence, which is just what makes her good. She has so much to going for her. Sadly, her nerf that survivors will be notified when she's nearby kind of hurt her, as survivors can just, start making distance when she, I apologize, when she starts to leech onto you. Uh, she's still a very strong hunter that does, however, get countered by the meta, which is transitional kiting. Which I think you might consider Breaking Wheel to be a bit better, because I'm going to come to that in a second. But I personally think that Dream Witch is still the best killer in the game, no matter what. Because a good Dream Witch can always four-man. Always. In comparison to Bloody Queen, for example, she has a nickname, Tying Queen. She can ensure a tie. If you don't miss more than one or two mirrors, you will always get a tie, no matter what. Which is what makes her very viable in high rank. Now onto Breaking Wheel, the last hunter. I want to go over this quick. A Breaking Wheel is just amazing. I, I, I really don't know what else I could say about Breaking Wheel. Amazing mobility, has a good chase, he can get a quick down early. His first presence is amazing, his last presence is very good. He can stop rescuers if he sees where they're coming from. Wanted orders just very good on him. If survivors decide to not rescue, he can have amazing map control. He can just rush around the whole map and still be at the chair when the rescue happens in a few seconds. He has good chase with his first trap ability, if you're good with it. He has a good synergy with Blink, as he doesn't need to teleport since he's so fast so fast moving anyway. I really don't need to say anything more. Personally, I think he deserves a nerf, actually. I think they should adjust it so that survivors can not get hit by the first presence ability in human form, the snap, when they are behind a full wall. I think that will put him in a lot fairer spot, so that will make him a lot better, a lot less of a tunnel intense killer, because that's also one of his strengths. He can always ensure the tunnel, basically. He has no real bad maps, except White Sand Street. I don't know what more to say. He's just a very good killer. Alright, everyone, that concludes my killer tier list. Thank you for watching. Let me know your thoughts on this, and let me know if you want to see more content like this, because I do enjoy making content like this, as it's very easy, it is very time efficient, and it lets me, tell you my opinion. Tell me what you agree with, what you disagree with, and I hope to see you in the next one.